Hey everybody, this is Doa with another StarCraft 2 cast. As I mentioned in the last cast, I'm doing a series of 4 games involving TLO playing Zerg. This game is going to be against JaRyongWeRRa spawning in the 5 o'clock position here on Delta Quadrant. So players spawning at cross positions. Usually this means a long game, but we're going to have to see what TLO and his opponent are planning for this game, what sort of strategies they're going to be following. Delta Quadrant is kind of an interesting map. The main reason being you've got this this fairly well defended natural, but at the same time you've got to break down these rocks to get there. So you'll see most Zerg players expanding here rather than trying to do some sort of late expansion here and break down the rocks with early roaches or lings. So and the problem with this is this natural is so open, it's a little bit tougher to defend, but where it is cross positions, he may be able to get, you know, a bigger defense up in time to meet whatever his opponent is throwing at him. So JaRyong right now bringing out some SCVs, building his first supply depot. Looks like he's planning on doing some sort of a wall off. TLO sending out his first overlord to do some scouting at this 2 o'clock position where he will not find his opponent, and I think he probably would be pleased to find out he is at cross positions. Generally Zerg players prefer to be as far away from their opponent as possible when the game begins. This overlord heading out, maybe he's checking out the satellite dish, wondering if he can get some sort of satellite TV in the hatchery perhaps. Although I'm not sure how easy it would be to mount some flat screen TVs on the hatchery. The sort of the texture might make it kind of slip down. You put a TV up here and it would kind of just slide down, so not to mention getting electricity might be kind of tough. But hey, that was a weird tangent. Anyway, it looks like the spawning pool going down for TLO. And no gas yet, so it looks like he is planning on doing his expansion. Actually, the expansion is down, so it looks like they got the pool a little bit earlier than the expansion in this case, so doing a little bit safer of a build, as he knows that expansion is a little bit harder to defend. In the meantime, JaRyong getting 2 barracks right away, so possibly thinking of doing some sort of early marine push, which is fairly common on the Korean server. If you watch a lot of the GSL games, that's a pretty popular thing to do among the Terrans over there, is to do that early marine pressure. Looks like TLO scouting out this base that is empty at the moment. And both players do know where each other are at the moment. Marine poking out a little bit, but he is going to go back behind the safety of the wall off. And TLO scouting this as well, keeping an eye on other corners of the map. Always good to spread out your overlords. Looks like we do have the Zerglings chasing an SCV across the map. SCV jetpacking away for dear life, not even bothering to activate the Xel'Naga Tower all the way. And the Zerglings are just about going to catch him, but they're not, and these Marines come out to chase away the Zerglings. TLO almost losing a couple lings here, and looks like we do have a small push actually coming out for JaRyong. And this is actually a push that I've seen Boxer do a couple times in the recent GSL, sending out just a couple Marines and an SCV, a little interesting timing push, but it looks like he's not going to go all the way, just sort of taking control of the Xel'Naga Tower. Another Marine joining him. I'm sure he's probably going to move in on his opponent after a few more Marines spawn. In the meantime, let's take a look at TLO's defenses. First Queen moving down towards the natural where she will be able to defend and also spawn larva. SCV checking out how the defenses are looking for TLO. Some Zerglings coming around. They will be able to surround and kill it. So nice job by TLO there, denying whatever scouting he can. No gases yet for TLO. Second Queen just popping up as well. And the Marine count is rising for JaRyong. So JaRyong amassing a pretty scary little Marine force. And this is really not what TLO wanted to do, moving those Zerglings in beyond the fog and losing those. So that's every Zergling that TLO loses is just going to be less defense for him once JaRyong moves in, which he is doing right now. He may try to snipe off this creep tuner, but no, he is not going to do that. And it looks like JaRyong thinking of better pulling back when he sees those 3 Queens. Intelligent decision, not wanting to waste any units early on. In the meantime, if we go back to JaRyong's base, it looks like we do have 3rd barracks down and a command center being built. So JaRyong planning to expand, getting both of his gases right now, as he knows he will not be able to rely on just Marines this game. He's not Foxer. He needs to build something other than Marines once in a while. In the meantime, second base for TLO up in full swing. We do have 1 gas down for TLO, so TLO still going fairly gas light. Not getting Zergling speed quite yet, so we're going to have to see what he's planning. Getting another Queen right now, so TLO actually getting a fairly large amount of Queens. Getting Queens 3 and 4, no, actually 4 and 5 right now for a little bit of defense here. In the meantime, JaRyong looks like he is going to be moving in with some Marines and one SCV, possibly thinking of putting up a bunker, but he's going to need to take out these creep tumors, which is exactly what he's doing, scanning. This SCV getting a little bit ahead of everybody else and dying, so a little bit of a misclick by JaRyong there. TLO still kind of massing queens and non-speed lings, I guess you could call them. In the meantime, those Marines still taking control of that Xel'Naga tower. Back at JaRyong's base, he does have both gases up and running right now. Looks like he is going to get a tech lab on this barracks, as well as another tech lab on this one too, so possibly either doing stim and marine shields at the same time, or just thinking of switching to some marauders, although at this point he really doesn't need to. He may want to get a couple actually for this amount of queens, but marines do still handle queens quite nicely, in large enough numbers anyway. And really, speaking of large numbers, this is a large number of queens for TLO. We do see some roaches coming out for TLO as well, and yeah, it looks like JaRyong producing a couple marauders and also using those tech labs to get marine shields and stim packs up and running. We do have a couple bunkers going down for JaRyong outside, kind of defending this natural. TLO doing a little bit of scouting with his Zergling, making sure there's no sort of hidden gold expansion being taken by his opponent. I believe he will lose his Zergling though as it moves in. A couple more Marines and Marauders showing up, but he will see that that expansion is up for his opponent. Looks like JaRyong may have fainted in a little bit, or feigned in a little bit, but was pushed back by the forces of TLO. TLO now moving out with the queens and the roaches. Those queens will become very slow once they move off creep though. He may just be taking the Xel'Naga tower. Yeah, TLO just moving ahead to take the tower, and I think he is going to continue to creep up. So TLO planning on doing some mass creep tumors to get some really fast creep spread. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but the more creep tumors you have in one location, the faster the creep actually spreads. So with mass queens like that, you can actually move the creep across the map very quickly, but he's going to need to defend these tumors with the roaches and queens. JaRyong thinking of moving in again, and again hesitating and pulling back. So JaRyong possibly missing his window of opportunity to really go in and do damage to TLO, as those roaches and queens, I would think, should be able to handle this, especially with stim not finished quite yet, although that will soon change. It looks like a factory going down finally for JaRyong, as well as Terran infantry weapons level 1. TLO is going to push out and just kind of pull back, so kind of a slow push across the map for TLO using those creep tumors. Nice job there, but JaRyong decides he wants to engage, moving in with that Marine Marauder ball. And a stim just finishing now, so not really even getting to use stim, although I take it back, he does just stim to move in, and those roaches are going to be in a little bit of trouble, but not enough marauders to really take those out. And those queens able to do some nice transfuses on those roaches. I believe I saw a couple transfuses go off there. And TLO pulling back again, being very methodical, letting the creep do the work for him, spreading across the map there. Meantime, let's take a quick look at his base. He is getting that roach speed upgrade, as well as has both gases up and running for both bases. Now I take it back, only one gas for the natural there. So TLO doing an awesome job spreading the creep across the map. Meanwhile, back at the base of JaRyong, both gases going up, and JaRyong putting down a tech lab at his factory, so possibly thinking of incorporating some siege tanks, I would think, into this army, as that does work very well. Getting a starport out as well. With those roaches, he may think about doing some banshees, but I think that'd be a little bit foolish considering the amount of queens. We'll have to see what he does plan though. It looks like he's getting pre-igniter though. Kind of an interesting choice, maybe planning on doing some sort of pre-igniter drop, possibly, because the Hellions certainly won't be very effective against this particular army. I would have to think he's planning on some sort of drop, but we're going to have to see what's going on. He is getting the armory, though, as well, so Thors, of course, do a decent job against roaches, as long as the roaches are not in too large of a number. But right now, JaRyong showing the signs of a lot of different things going on right now, which can be a little bit risky. I think he may be a little bit baffled as to what his opponent is doing, as this is not a terribly orthodox strategy for Zerg. But TLO basically making a highway, an interstate, if you will, from his base all the way across the map to his opponents. Looks like we do have the first store coming out for JaRyong here. And we do have a burrowed roach, so TLO going to be planning on using those burrowed roaches as well to possibly get in and do some surrounds on the later mechanical units that his opponents will be producing. A little bit of a scouting roach there and burrowing it again. So trying to get JaRyong to use some scans as well instead of mules, trying to hurt the economy a little bit. JaRyong stimming, deciding it's time to move in. That is a nice roach army for TLO, almost getting the concave, but deciding to pull back, scanning to take out some of the burrowed roaches, and TLO has to pull back to get some reinforcements from the queen. Nice transfuses again going off on those roaches. TLO pushes in now. Is he going to be able to take down those bunkers? The Marines and Marauders not in a good position between those bunkers. Thor does come out, and TLO will fall back a little bit when he does see that. Looks like he did move in some overlords as well, possibly trying to feign some sort of Baneling drop, trying to scare his opponent a little bit. So TLO, again, just being very methodical about his push across the map. JaRyong has to be feeling the pressure right now. Meanwhile, TLO has taken this base here, but the SCV of JaRyong has found it. But at this point, he is going to need to do some sort of drop. He's not going to be able to push across the map right now with TLO in this position, kind of cutting off the routes here and here. If you look at the mini-map, he's going to be able to keep an eye on what's going on there. SCV trying to prevent the queen from putting down that creep tumor, but it's not going to happen. He's lucky he didn't get trapped under that creep tumor. That would be a very awkward and unfortunate death. TLO may lose this queen, though. No, he pulls her back just in time. 4 hit points on that queen. JaRyong is going to stim in to try and take it out, but the roaches are going to unburrow and push him back. So JaRyong wasting a stim on those units there, not really causing any damage at all. He does do a scan to try to find those burrowed units, but by not keeping his units in range, that's not going to help him take any out. Meantime, TLO is coming in with the banelings as well. So TLO looking like he's about ready to attack. Siege mode not even finished yet for JaRyong. So this is the timing TLO is looking for. TLO moving in with the banelings, taking out the Marine Marauder Ball. 2 medevacs is not going to be enough, and those swords will fall very quickly to the roaches of TLO. So it looks like TLO is going to be able to win right here. I don't think JaRyong is going to be able to come back for this. Nice try with the Master Pair on the Thor, but that is going to be it. GG from JaRyongWeRRa. So TLO with a nice, methodical, very patient push across the map with the roaches and the queens and bringing the banelings at the very end to clean things up. Great game here on Delta Quadrant. Again, if you like my cast, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next cast, guys.